Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say enough good stuff about this pedal, man. It's saved my life, especially going to China, because now I know I can take a pedal board with me that will work through anything, and I can get a fucking devastating rhythm tone and lead tone, basically, you know, that I know it won't let me down. You know?
So what's your setup going to consist of, like exactly in detail for Asia on your pedal board? You've got the amp tweaker thing?
Yeah, no, basically what I said. I'll come out the guitar, NS2, amp tweaker, line selector with the delay through the line selector loop into power amp. Done.
That's it?
That's it.
Delay pedal, amp tweaker, power amp return?
Yeah.
Wow.
But essentially that gives me a 3-channel setup with 4 pedals.
Well, yeah, you've got your drive, your boost, and your clean.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
But it allows me to kick it, because the effects I only ever use a delay. I don't really see the point in using loads of choruses and stuff, because all that ever does is just filter down. See, live it's hard because you don't want to use too much. I mean, look at Zach Wild's setup. Right? He has like a 1-channel head. Fucking goes into a
JCM 800.
Yeah, but it goes to a rotor vibe, wah, distortion box, and a chorus. That's it.
Yeah.
In that order, into the front end. And that's all he's ever used.
Yeah. What wah-wah pedal are you using?
I'm not at the moment. I did have a Zach Wild Dunlop one, but I kind of mislaid it. Yeah, I don't really use like wah. I mean, there's one solo that does have wah on the front end of it, but I probably won't, you know. I mean, like with the solo stuff as well, wah parts I kind of don't bother. Because, I don't know, I always struggle with wah live. It's really weird. It just doesn't really translate as well. Maybe I just don't know how to use one.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if it was because of you're playing in your foot or the actual sound of the wah-wah.
Probably, yeah. It's probably like a live thing. I probably don't. I'm concentrating so much on getting the playing right that I don't really I don't really worry about or have time to worry about where the wah's sat when I'm playing. I don't know. I think I'm all right using the wah pedal, but you know, again, it's just adding another drain in your signal chain, you know, live. When really what you want is just the amp that you're using, and that's it, really.
That's brilliant, man. So you're going to be taking like a tiny pedal board and a guitar with you. That's great, man.
Yeah, and it will sound monstrous, like, you know. But the thing is, the best way to get a decent guitar is always to have a simple approach on thing. The minute you start kind of watering it down with all these different options and ideas, it's like, who the fuck cares? As long as it sounds good live, does anyone really care what you're using? You know, I don't know. I've kind of got a mixed view on it. I mean, I don't. I mean, who's to say that I might never end up with an amp endorsement? I don't know. You know, I mean, I think I just kind of do the guitar thing, you know. Because, I mean, it works for Guthrie. He uses guitars. All his clinics are guitar clinics. You know, they're not amp clinics. But, you know, he uses different gear, like amps all the time. He seems quite reluctant to get involved with an amp company, actually. Well, I don't know. I mean,
but he is though. He endorses the Sir Badger.
Yeah, but he wasn't using that. He hasn't been using that until probably recently. I don't know.
Well, because he wasn't able to get them at any of the as backline for any of the shows. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
I mean, as we both know, like, you know, there are guys that, you know, most of these players, it doesn't matter what you guys plug into, you're going to sound like you. You know? It's your ears that are telling you it's not exactly what you want to hear, basically. You know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my only kind of criteria, I mean, even if the tone's not quite right, it's just playability. It's just how well does the amp flow together what you're playing, you know. Because, I mean, there are some amps out there that I could plug in, turn up the gain all the way up, add more gain, and it still wouldn't flow together very well. You know, they just got that sticky nature to them, and that's kind of always my my nightmare scenario, is turning up and finding an amp that just doesn't give you that playability, you know. I don't know. You know, some people would argue that playability is in the guitar. It's just in the ability of the player. You know, if you played well enough with good enough technique, it doesn't matter how much gain or how little gain, it will still come out. Well, that's simply not the case in so many different situations, especially when you're playing a metal band. If you haven't got the fucking playability, it becomes really sticky and you can come unstuck.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, it's just funny. I don't know. It's only ever in a band situation I struggle. getting a tone doing instrumental stuff, or even with a band, or doing clinics or recording, I never struggle to get a good tone out of anything really. It's always with sacred. There's just a specific sound that I'm after, and I just don't seem to be able to get it out of anything other than that line 6 that I mentioned. Set up the way we did, or this amp tweaker pedal that's now come along and kind of taken its place, which is great because obviously I can't take my head on the plane to China with me, so I've got something that sounds fucking bob on to what I'm after. And the only other thing I'm thinking is like, well, if I just get a really good solid state power amp, like the Matrix or the Rocktron or whatever that people use with the Axe effects, that would be my rig. I could fly all the way around the world, and all I would need is a cab, and that's it. And I'm thinking to just make my life a lot easier and not have to worry about it. For now, I think I might just do that. It's funny because I've known this for a long time, and I think it's taken me a long time to come to terms with the fact that I'm just not a valve amp player. I struggle with valves because they're so unpredictable. They take ages to warm up. It doesn't flow as well as when you plug into a digital setup. Digital's just set up so much better. That's why I think the Line 6 works for me, because it's got the digital preamp and the analog power amp stage together, like you say, creates that cutting tone because it's not relying on preamp valves to sort of like react with it or
Yeah, because the tube thing is, it's not a science that can be exacted. You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
Every time you turn it on, depending on its environment, it'll heat up and cool down differently. And as soon as a set of tubes has been burned in, they never sound the same way they do the first time you play them for a few hours, ever. No. And going forward, it's the same thing.
I think that's the thing for me. The Line 6 it's all patched. Every time you turn it on, you don't have to touch nothing. It's already pre-programmed, set. It's great. You just go and do your thing. Because for about 3 or 4 years, I didn't worry about my live setup at all. I just went, I plugged in, and I thought, but things wear out. Unfortunately, one of the heads has it doesn't sound the same as it used to, and I can't get it to, and I've had it revalved, and it doesn't. And I don't know, but I'm just worried that I'm putting too much faith into something that if it does go wrong, and I rely too much on it, I'm never going to be able to get that sort of tone again, and I'll always be fighting to get there and never get back there, So that's why I've been exploring all these different avenues, set up and all the rest of it, because if I've got something that I can get that sound with manually, and I know it works every time, solid state or otherwise, then I'll be happy. And that's why the amp tweaker thing appeals to me so much, because it's really close to that tone that I'm after. With the exception of a few things that I think it might be lacking, but that's nothing to do with the tone, it's just features maybe. But we've discussed that already, and they're things that he's factoring into new models, so I'll kind of wait and see what he comes up with. But yeah, that's why I'm thinking of just having that setup, because it's simple, it works. I could talk about it all night really. I don't worry, but it's just one of those things. You find. It's like anything. You buy a pair of jeans, right? Like Levi's, they stopped doing black 512s, right? Boot cut
we had this conversation in LA.
They stopped doing them.
That's
now you
funny.
can't fucking get them. They've done the 527s or whatever. They don't do black, and they fit differently. Why? You find something that works for you, and then they fucking get rid of it, and they change it, and they do something else.
We talked before about personal recording, and you said you don't do any of that at home. Like, it's all, you go to Scott's and you take care of it all there.
Well, I do, I have since got my head round Cubase properly that I use, and like a drum program that I use. And,
what drum program? Drummer from Hell?
No, I find that really plasticky and weak. I don't know, I just don't like it. I use Easy Drummer, but I use the Metal Machine, the Andy Sneap recorder kits.
Okay.
Fucking right out of the box. It's just ridiculous how good that sounds. And that's pretty much transformed most of my demos, And I bought a Line 6 Pocket Pod. There you go, Line 6. Fucking, it's great. Just plug in, great tone straight away for me.
There's one sits here all the time, dude. It's, if I'm not messing around with that, which it kind of cancels it out because that does everything. But yeah, for sure, man. Because they work, man. They work.
The more we talk, the more I should just think, yeah, fuck it, you know, line 6 is the thing that always keeps coming up in conversation. And it's just like, people have just said, well, look, why don't you just fucking do that?
So, we were talking before, so you are starting to get into the recording at home.
Yeah, I'm getting into it because, I mean, I've started writing stuff for, you know, trying to get involved in writing stuff for TV and film as well, you know, because, I mean, I like to write. That's another thing I like to do. I like to write and fuck about and, you know, do stuff. And some of it has been used, you know, mostly in America. So,
Like
yeah.
what? Like what?
Nothing that I've released, just stuff that I've worked on, you know, with the guy who does Jam Track Central. He's a kind of writer for TV and film as well. You know, that's how he makes his kind of, you know, dosh. And yeah, I mean, you know, we've known each other for a few years and stuff, and we seem to just write well together. So I think, you know, maybe we'll continue doing that. But in turn, I still need to get my head around a lot of the recording because I can't rely. Well, I can't expect to rely on him to do everything. You know, if we're going to work together, I need to kind of pull my weight, if you know what I mean. So I think getting involved in recording and learning how this stuff works would be, you know, a benefit.
What made you select Pro Tools over? What made you select Cubase over Pro Tools or Logic?
Just because I used it in college years ago, and it's the only thing I kind of learned to use, really. I mean, you know, there's no particular reason other than I just know it anyway. I knew the program, I knew where things were, and it just made things easier for like learning how to do stuff. And plus, Cubase has got the best drum map facility. The Logic's a really fiddly one, and Pro Tools I don't know Pro Tools, so it could have a really good drum map. I don't know, but the drum map facility in Cubase is very lame and it's very basic, but it allows you to just sort of see in like childlike terms where to put the fucking dots and stuff. You know, it's much easier to do.
Okay.
Whereas with Logic, I don't know. I tried fucking about with Macs and stuff. Trouble is with Macs, everything's the wrong way around. I don't like. What?
That's funny, man. It's not.
It is.
No. Well, the only thing that's the wrong way around is the minus sign, the X, and the minimize.
Yeah, that's enough to put me off.
Oh, give me a break, man. Right click. If you have a mouse, you can right click and left click. I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not going to try and sell anybody. The bottom line is Mac works, PC doesn't. Oh, dude, listen, man. As always, it was a gas chatting with you. Dude, have a good evening.
All right, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, cool. All right. See you later.